Hello everyone. Today I wanted to do something special. It is Sunday, but it's actually the last day of Neurodiversity Celebration week. So I wanted to make a video about this before the end of the week. So before I do this, I wanted to just talk about what is neurodiversity, and I found a really good definition with ChatGPT. So I'm just going to read it for you. Neurodiversity is a concept that recognizes and respects neurological differences as a natural and valuable form of human diversity. These differences can include conditions such as autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette syndrome, other cognitive or developmental conditions. I have put the link to Neurodiversity Celebration Week into the description so you can learn more about it. I read on their website that about 15 to 20% of people have a neurological difference, and for this reason, it's incredibly important that we talk about this. During this video, I want to discuss 4 key features of neurodiversity, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to try to take this brain model apart and then put it back together. I used to use this when I studied anatomy, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is that neurodiversity is a natural part of human variation. Just like physical traits like height, hair color, eye color, facial hair, as humans, we are also unique in terms of our brains and what's on the inside. And this is a natural form of variation which has been present as long as humans have been around. And the genes that are associated with neurodivergence, they have stayed with us throughout our human history. This shows that they had an evolutionary purpose. And I think it's very important to remember that the prehistoric environment that our brain developed in is very different from the environment that we live in today. And therefore, some of the traits that are part of neurodiversity had a very important role in survival in the past. And I think that this is very helpful to acknowledge. I wanted to give some examples. So, for example, someone that was good at noticing very small details, which can be a feature of autism, would have been very good if there was a particular color of berry that was shown to be poisonous. They might have been able to find that particular color and then advise the tribe to not eat that. And that might be considered very analytical, but it helped survival. And synergy with other brains in the tribe, with these different types of thinking, would have promoted survival. And I think this is very important to consider. Also, when you look in our human history, we have people like Isaac Newton, Alan Turing, who were likely neurodivergent, and also modern celebrities like Emma Watson or Richard Branson. And these people have had a unique perspective of viewing the world, and this has allowed them to make amazing contributions to society. You might even be watching this video on a device which neurodivergent people helped to develop, alongside neurotypical minds as well. So basically, I think this is very important to realize neurodiversity is a natural part of human variation. And that's a very good thing. Just like biodiversity, in an ecosystem, you want a healthy, diverse population so it can function well. It's the same with human societies. You want a diversity of ways brains can function, to allow society to evolve, and to allow different minds to collaborate and to work together to achieve amazing things. The second thing I wanted to talk about is something called the social model of disability. And this is a model of disability which explains that it might very well be, in many cases, that a condition itself is not the actual disability, but it is the inability of society to support individuals in order to live their best lives. So I could give an example of physical disability. So someone who uses a wheelchair without a ramp, it's not possible for them to access a bus. But if an adjustment is made and they can access a bus, that's removing the disability and very empowering. And we can imply this way of thought also to neurodiversity, even though you can't see the differences because they're microscopic changes of wiring in the brain. So we live in a very rigid society, or a structured society with different protocols and things, which is great because it's allowed us to build society. However, it's not the environment that our brain developed in, and it is not the optimal environment for every single brain. And that's very important to realize. And I think someone who's neurodivergent and understanding this can greatly benefit from that. And also anyone with a brain, because every brain's unique. But understanding how your brain works and then learning how you can adjust your own life environment, your living space, the way you live, the way you live your life, adjusting it in order to allow yourself to live your best life with your brain is one of the most empowering things that anyone can do, neurodivergent or neurotypical or anywhere on the spectrum. So that's why I wanted to talk about the social model of disability. Now I'm going to try to put this brain back together. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the importance of reframing neurodiversity traits. So let me give you some examples. So hyperfocus is a trait which is commonly associated with ADHD. And when someone is very highly focused on a topic, it might not seem socially optimal, or it might not seem completely, not everyone will see that as normal. However, I'd like to reframe that and say, if you have very complex problems, let's give examples like AI safety, that require a lot of thinking and a lot of passion, don't you want the people that are trying to solve these problems to have amazing hyperfocus and extreme enthusiasm for these topics? I would say yes, because I believe that gives us the best chance of solving these problems. And hyperfocus is something associated with ADHD, but anyone can have hyperfocus in certain contexts. And I think we need to remove the stigma and misunderstanding of hyperfocus. Okay, so the other thing I think we can do is reframe bottom-up thinking. So bottom-up thinking is a thinking system which is associated more with autism spectrum disorder, which is about, in a way, like this brain, taking a concept apart into its small constituent components and then building up from there to understand a concept or a full picture. And I like to think of it as like the way an engineer thinks. And it's very important. There's another form of thinking which is called top-down thinking, which is also very important, and it's about learning patterns and principles and applying them to concepts. And all humans use both types of thinking in different ways, usually. However, someone who is autistic is probably more bottom up dominant compared to someone who is neurotypical, who might be more top down. And I think that realizing that both systems have incredible value and we can all learn from each other about this. So I think that's another great example of reframing neurodiversity, or reframing the traits of neurodiversity. The next thing I wanted to discuss was the importance of speaking openly about neurodiversity. And I think that this is probably, I'd say, the most important thing for me about Neurodiversity Celebration Week. The importance of us talking together as a society about how our brains work differently, but that's an amazing thing, and we can all learn from each other, and it's something to celebrate. And I believe that this does several things. It reduces the stigma about neurodiversity, and it encourages incredible conversations between people, which can bring people closer and help people to understand each other, to help each other to learn how they can work together best and understand each other best. And I think it creates a much better world. And I think it's so important, and that's something that I want to celebrate about Neurodiversity Celebration Week, the importance of speaking openly about these things and celebrating them and seeing them as an incredibly positive thing. Thank you very much for watching my video. So just in summary, the 4 features I wanted to touch, which we've talked about, just in summary, the 4 features I've spoken about is, firstly, neurodiversity is a natural part of human variation. Number 2, about the social model of disability and how we can, by understanding that, we can learn how we can create environments to allow our brains to thrive. The 3rd point was reframing neurodiversity and its traits. And the 4th point was talking openly about this. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. If you'd like me to make another video talking about the structure of the brain in a more anatomical sense, I'd love to do that. So let me know if you'd like that idea. Bleef doorzetten, and thank you very much for your support.